What's up, everyone? I'm Joe Pompliano, and this is the Joe Pomp Show. Happy Masters Week. The Masters Golf Tournament is in full swing this week in Augusta, Georgia, at Augusta National Golf Club. It's one of the best weeks of the year in sports, and it's certainly one of the best golf tournaments of the year. Now, there's a bunch of big names competing in the field, including the LIV golfers. We've had practice rounds all week. We had the Champions Dinner on Tuesday night with Scottie Scheffler, the par 3 competition on Wednesday, and Thursday, the tournament is officially teeing off. But I don't want to talk about what's happening on the course. I want to talk about the business and money behind this tournament. I think it is one of the most fascinating things in sports, and you guys are going to learn a lot about the numbers and the details and what's actually happening behind the scenes with Augusta and the Masters. So let's start with this. I think we all understand that Augusta National Golf Club is one of the most iconic venues in sports. For those that don't know, there's this road that you come down on. There's security and there's cops and everyone like that. But once you get past them as a player or caddy or whatever you're doing, there's this road called Magnolia Lane. And it's perfectly trimmed. It's exactly 330 yards in length. And there's 61 magnolia trees on each side. And I tell you this for one reason. Because everything at Augusta has a purpose. There's a meaning behind it. It's perfectly manicured, and there's a reason why this number is there or how it looks or what it is. And that's a good example. The clubhouse itself is 170 years old, and several U.S. presidents have routinely flown to the club to go play the world-class course. It's extremely, extremely famous, especially with wealthy people. Now, I don't think this level of exclusivity or luxury is ever more apparent than the Masters tournament itself every year. For example, every morning during the tournament, more than 100 grounds crew members cut the fairways to exactly 3/8 of an inch. Exactly 3/8 of an inch. 100 of them. There's these photos online that you can see. There's like a flying V of them, and there's like Tiger Woods in the background. They're all playing. It's really cool. The merchandise store itself does $1 million of sales an hour. An hour. And there's these sub-zero unit sub-air systems underneath the walkways at Augusta National, so no one slips and falls. Literally, someone slipped and fell a few years ago, and they went in and installed millions of dollars worth of sub-air systems underneath the walkways, so no one would slip and fall anymore. Like I said, they play by their own rules. No one exactly knows what's going on. They're very secretive. You have to stitch things together year after year after year and hear rumors and do all this stuff. But I compiled a bunch of the numbers, and I want to share with you the business behind the event. So for those that don't know, the Masters is an annual golf tournament held in Augusta, Georgia. The first tournament was held in 1934. This is the 87th edition of the tournament, and it's one of the 4 golf majors of the year. Roughly 100 players are invited to compete in the tournament, and this year's purse, the total amount of prize money, is $15 million, the same as last year. The first place winner wins $2.7 million, and it gradually declines from there until last place gets $37,800. So first place, $2.7 million, about $38,000 for 50th place. No one that makes the cut gets paid. Now, I tell you about the prize money because the winner also gets a green jacket. You guys have probably heard about the green jacket. You've seen the green jacket. Everyone knows what the green jacket is. Now, the interesting part about the green jacket is that the winner gets it on the 18th green. And when they leave Augusta, they can take it with them for 1 year. It's like the Stanley Cup. You're allowed to take the jacket with you. You can go celebrate with your friends. You can wear it to the bar, dinners, whatever you want to do for 1 year. And the following year, when you return to Augusta and you visit the champions locker room now with your own locker there, the jacket goes back in the locker and it never leaves Augusta again. You're supposed to wear it when you come to the club for dinners or whatever it is, but you're not supposed to leave with it again. So the jacket stays. And one funny story about this real quick is that I think it was 1997, a person in Toronto, Canada found a Masters green jacket at a thrift store in Toronto, Canada. They bought it for $5. They held on to it for like 20 years. And last year, they sold it at auction, and it sold for $140,000. So $5 buy, sold it for $140,000. Not bad. Not bad at all. So on top of that, when it comes to the business, if you were to pick one word to describe Augusta National and the Masters tournament itself and the finances behind it, it would be secrecy. And the reason for this is simple. Most golf clubs in America, in the United States, are nonprofits. They shield a percentage of their income, a large percentage of their income from taxes. And with that, they have to file all these forms and give all these disclosures and everything like that. Augusta National is the opposite. They're a for-profit corporation, and they do that for one simple reason. They don't want to disclose anything. So they're willing to give up the tax benefits because they don't want to disclose anything. They don't have to give out their membership list. They don't have to give out their holdings, their income, their renovation plans, their prize money. They don't have to give up anything. And what that's created is this shield of secrecy, and they're able to control the narrative around the tournament. But we had this report from Forbes a couple of years ago, I think it was last year actually, that broke down some of the numbers when it comes to the finances. Forbes said that the tournament brought in 2022, $141 million in revenue. About 75% of that came from merchandise and ticket sales, and the remaining 25% came from international TV rights and concession sales. So 70 million for merchandise, which was 50% of the 141. Tickets is 40 million, international TV rights 25 million, and concessions is 8 million. Adds up to 141. Now, the most interesting part about this is you see $141 million and you're like, damn, that's kind of a lot for 1 week in Augusta, Georgia. Like, damn, that's a lot of freaking money. WrestleMania just set a record over 2 days in LA with 20 something million. Like 141 sounds amazing. The reality is, though, that the Masters and Augusta National itself are leaving hundreds of millions of dollars on the table. And I'm going to explain. But to explain, I need to walk through each category. So let's start with merchandise. The Masters has perfected the merchandise business. They're one of the only large-scale sporting events in the world that only sells merchandise to in-person attendees. You can't buy it online. You have to go to the store during the tournament. So you have to get tickets in, then you go to the store, and you can only buy the exclusively licensed merchandise at the pro shop at Augusta National. And they generate about $70 million in sales every year during this. So 7 days, the tournament is happening from Monday to Sunday. Say, I broke down the numbers. Say that the store is open for 10 hours a day. At $70 million over 7 days, and the store is open for 10 hours a day. That means Augusta National is selling $10 million of merchandise a day. It means Augusta National is selling $1 million of merchandise an hour. It means Augusta National is selling $16,000 worth of merchandise every minute. And it means they're selling $277 worth of merchandise every second. Now, if you don't believe me, go check out the newsletter because I included a picture in there of the line at the merchandise store. It's insane. It's a well-oiled machine, don't get me wrong. Everyone that goes, they spend a bunch of money. The average bill has to be like $1,000 plus. I'm not kidding. When people go, they spend $4,000, $5,000, $6,000. Someone messaged me on Twitter the other day and said that the person next to them spent $6,000 in the store. And the reason why they do this is because not only are you getting merchandise for yourself, maybe your family members, whatever. You don't know when you're coming back. Maybe it's been your lifelong dream to go. Who knows? But secondly, you can resell it for a lot of money. So there's these garden gnomes that I always like to joke about that the Masters sells in the store. They're only $50. You can only buy one per person, and it's a different design every single year for the tournament. So if you go on eBay right now, you can type in Masters Garden Gnome, and I did it before this, and there's some of them selling for $480. So $50 buy at the store, you sell online for $480. That's an 850% price markup. It's insanity. Obviously, they're leaving a little bit of money on the table. People that are watching the tournament at home, there's millions of people that watch the tournament at home. They might want to buy gear for them, their family, their friends, whatever it is. They can't do that. You have to go to the tournament. But again, it's creating this exclusivity. It's making people spend a lot of money when they get there, all of that. So that's one interesting part. The next is tickets. Similar to merchandise, the Masters has one of the most unique ticketing policies in sports. The tickets are known as badges, and the fans are known as patrons, so patrons and badges. And the badges, they don't just go sell them to the highest bidder. They don't sell them to an agency who goes and markets them on the secondary market. They strictly do a lottery. There's a couple other things, but mostly they do a lottery. And you can apply online. You put in your information. I do it every year. You should do it every year. And you can apply. And you have, I think it's a 0.55% chance of winning single day tickets. So you can win a ticket to the practice round. You can win a ticket to the tournament round. You can win a 4-day pass. It's very unlikely, obviously, less than 1% that you win. But if you do win, the tickets cost $100 or $140. So $100 for a practice round, $140 for a tournament round. On the secondary market, it is a different story. Now, people complain all the time about Augusta and the Masters, and they're like, oh, they have cheap concessions. The merchandise isn't crazy, whatever. But the tickets are crazy expensive. That's not true. The tickets are cheap. They're $100 to $140 or $450 for a 4-day pass. That's relatively cheap for a high-profile sporting event like this where everyone wants to go. But the tickets you're seeing are on the secondary market, StubHub, SeatGeek, Ticketmaster, whatever it is. Those tickets can go for a couple $1,000s. So I looked up the average ticket prices right before this. The average practice round for the Masters this year is $1,200. for a ticket. The average ticket for a single day during the tournament is $1,700. And the average ticket online right now for a 4-day pass is $5,300. So you're looking at anywhere from it's basically 10 times what you pay on the primary market, you would pay on the secondary market. Now, there's 200,000 people, more than 200,000 people that attend this tournament every year. So again, the Masters could make significantly more money if they just sold the tickets for a higher price. There was some math done in the Forbes article that if they just did 50% of what the secondary market ticket price is, so like $600 for a single day ticket and like $2,500 for a 4-day ticket, they would make an additional $145 million a year. That's more than they make on the entire tournament right now. So they could double their revenue if they extended the amount that the tickets cost. I'm not saying they should do that. I don't think they should do that. Again, though, this all goes back to how they protect their brand. There's nothing that Augusta doesn't look after to protect the brand and the image of the tournament. And it's the reason why it's the single most popular tournament in golf. Tickets is another thing. Now, after that, what have we been hearing about for the last few years? Inflation, inflation, inflation. Groceries are getting more expensive. Gas has gotten more expensive. Rent has gotten more expensive. Tickets to games, concessions at the games have gotten more expensive. Not at the Masters. There are 3 certainties in life: death, taxes, and cheap concessions at the Masters. Every single year, the photos go viral. You guys have probably seen them. You can go to the Augusta National concession stand and you can get a sandwich and a beer for $6.50. You can actually buy every item on the list. So everything from breakfast sandwiches to egg salad sandwiches, to beers, to chips, to peanuts, to ice cream sandwiches, one of everything, one of literally everything on the menu. You can buy it for $66. $66. And to provide a little bit of context here, the average NFL stadium charges $10 for a 16-ounce beer. So you can get sandwich, a chips, and a drink for less than it is to get one single beer at an NFL game. The Masters has done this for a very specific reason. They want to keep the consumer experience really good when you're on the grounds. They want you to enjoy your time there. They want it to feel like you're getting a good deal. It's the same reason why they offer free parking. They've actually bought properties, paid millions of dollars in properties for houses that are next to the course, bulldozed them down, turned them into parking lots, and offered free parking to people attending the event. That's how much they care about you having a good time when you're there. They want it to be the most magical place on earth. They don't let you use your phones, all of it. They want everyone to come and experience it for themselves. So again, they can make the concessions higher. Maybe they make a few more $1 million there. I don't think that's the huge revenue driver. I think the huge revenue driver is what we'll talk about next: TV rights. The TV rights at Augusta National is one of the most unique things that I've ever seen. Most people have no idea how this works today, but I'll explain it to you. So Augusta National, they sell the international rights for $25 million to the Masters every year. But they don't make a dime. They literally don't make a dollar when it comes to domestic TV rights. And what do we know about this? Anyone that follows sports and sports media or sports business knows that the media rights are traditionally the biggest pie for every sports league in the world. You make some money on tickets, you make some money on sponsorships, you make some money on concessions, merchandise, whatever it is. But the most money comes, especially large-scale events, comes from media rights. The NFL, for example, makes over 60% of their revenue comes from national media deals. Augusta doesn't make a dollar on them. And this is why. So what they do is they give the rights to CBS as their long-term partner and ESPN now too. They give them the opportunity to broadcast the event for free. There's no rights fee. In exchange, they get full and complete control over the event. They get to control everything. They tell you what you can, what you can't talk about, what you should say, what you should call people, what you should broadcast, all of this stuff. And the other interesting thing that they do is they only have 6 sponsors. Their 6 sponsors are AT&T, Delta, IBM, Mercedes-Benz, Rolex, and UPS. There's no encore signage. And those 6 sponsors only get 4 minutes of TV time every hour. So every hour, there's 4 minutes of commercials, and those 6 sponsors split it. Those 6 sponsors pay a fee to Augusta. Augusta then uses that money from those 6 sponsors to pay for the production costs for ESPN and CBS. So they're just flat there. They don't make anything. The networks don't pay anything, whatever it is, but they don't get commercials out of it either. And then the rest of the money goes towards funding the VIP seating and hospitality. So they don't make any of that money. And when you look at what they're giving up here, it's hundreds of millions of dollars, year after year after year they're giving up. The estimate that I've seen is they could be making an extra $250 to $300 million a year if they were to maximize everything like the traditional sports events that we've seen, the Super Bowl, the World Series, the World Cup, whatever it is. If the Masters and Augusta National wanted to maximize revenue, they could make an additional $250 to $300 million a year. They obviously don't want to do that. It's one of the most unique tournaments in sports. And truthfully, I don't think it would be what it is if they did a lot of that stuff, right? I think part of the allure of the tournament today is the cheap concessions, is the no phones, is the fact that they control all the stuff, is the fact that the lawn is perfectly manicured, right? It's that everyone's so nice. It's in the South. It's just a good time. And I think that's really important. Now, before we end today, I want to talk a little bit about a few things, a couple of what we'll call conversation starters. So when you're watching the tournament this weekend, you can talk about this with your friends, your families, whatever, and seem smart. You're welcome. First off, housing in Augusta. So if you go to Augusta for the tournament, you got to pay a lot of money for housing. The tickets, even if you win them through the lottery, they may be cheap. Concessions may be cheap. You may spend some money on merchandise. Parking's free, whatever. But you're going to spend money on housing. So Golf Digest just put out this article earlier this week where they were running through some of the options that you can rent. I recommend checking it out. It's really cool. But the summary was basically that $30,000 is what it costs for like a 4 to 5 bedroom house close to the course. There's a player renting out a house that they were showing. I think it was 4 to 5 bedrooms. Someone had bought the house for like $190,000. They put $250,000 into the house, $440,000 total investment. And now they rent it out every year during the Masters for $30,000 a week. Outside of that, they get about $2,500 for the weeks outside of that. And the other interesting thing is I know a couple people that live in Augusta. And what they do is, a lot of people do this. They rent out their house for the week and they take them and their family on vacation. They just get out of there because it's mobbed up and they can get a bunch of money. And the reason why this is really unique and desirable is because the IRS created a rule decades ago that's famed the Augusta rule. And basically what it says is that you can rent out your primary residence for 14 days a year, for up to 14 days a year, and that money does not count against your individual tax return. Individual tax return, that money for 14 days does not count against it. So everyone in Augusta that lives there goes and does this if they're not going to the tournament, if they don't have other business to be doing in town. I think it's super fascinating. The other thing that I think is really fascinating is the Crow's Nest. So avid golf fans have probably heard of the Crow's Nest at this point, but the Crow's Nest is a living area that's located on the 3rd floor of the Augusta National Clubhouse. It's 30 feet by 40 feet. I think there's 5 bedrooms in the area. And the amateurs stay there. So there's 7 amateurs playing in this year's tournament. Each of them is going to stay there at least one night before or after the tournament. And this is like a rite of passage. It's a tradition. Tiger Woods has stayed there. Jack Nicklaus has stayed there. Phil Mickelson has stayed there. A bunch of other players have stayed there. It's really cool. It looks kind of old. Like when I tweeted about it, people were like, you know, they could at least update the decor. They have millions of dollars. What are they doing? It's history. I don't know. I'm sure the beds are fine. They're comfortable. Who cares, right? It's history. I'm sure the players are more than happy to be staying there, even if it's just for the night. I think it's really cool. Thirdly, Augusta might be expanding, which I think is one of the things that we'll be talking about for years to come. So since 1999, Augusta National has spent $200 million on real estate. That's 100 plus properties and 270 acres in total around the golf club. So they're basically just going up and buying around anything that they can get around the actual golf club. So $200 million, 100 plus properties, 270 acres. They've bulldozed homes, like I said, to create additional parking. They even bought a shopping center for $26 million that included a Wendy's, Steinmart, and Publix. Again, they have not said what they're going to do. Some people have speculated that they're trying to basically connect to the highway so you can get an exit right off the highway and there's nowhere else to go but the club directly. Now, we don't know if that's true. They haven't confirmed that or denied that. But ultimately, I don't think any of us are ever going to know until they do it. What have we been talking about? This entire video, I've been trying to explain how secretive Augusta National is. They are not going to tell us what's going on, but still, it's fascinating. The numbers behind this tournament are fascinating. $141 million a year. They're leaving $250 million on the table. Have a great tournament. I hope everyone enjoys. Good luck to the players. Please, 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 please like this video, comment on it. Let me know what you liked, what you didn't like, and subscribe to the channel. I also host the podcast, The Joe Pomp Show. You can find it on Apple and Spotify. And the newsletter, 3 times a week. It goes out to about 100,000 people every single time. It's read by investors, professional athletes, team owners, and casual fans. Go sign up for it at readhuddleup.com. All right, we'll talk in a few days.